Hi, I'm David Davis from Actual Tech Media. We're here at the headquarters of Shoreline Systems. I'm excited to be joined by Mr. George Simons, COO at Shoreline. How you doing, George?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for joining me. We've been talking about, the use cases for Shoreline Systems, migrating to new infrastructure, migrating to the cloud, and what makes Shoreline different. But I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into how Shoreline works exactly.
So we're different than a lot of the migration tools out there. First off, we don't put a filter driver into the production server. We try to have the lightest footprint we can there so that while you're going through the migration process, you're not impacting production. Okay. The way we do it is we take a snapshot. We then, from that snapshot, pull the files into our data store. When we pull the files in, we dedupe them. So we're deduping across all the different servers you're going to migrate, virtual or physical. We compress the data, we encrypt the data. So if you're moving one virtual machine, we'll pull the files in, we have metadata for it. Once that's in our store, it gets migrated or copied to the destination. Okay? In the destination, we go through a transformation process. So we know where it came from, the hypervisor, physical server. We know the target that we're putting it. So we take care of pulling out drivers that no longer make sense. We put in the appropriate drivers for the environment, any boot changes, whatever else has to happen there for that server to boot up properly. Okay. So that's sort of the initial part of it. Because we're taking snapshots, as things change, we take incremental, right? So we capture the incremental changes, and those get, again, moved across and applied to the virtual machine in the target environment.
Okay. And so when you say you're moving files and taking snapshots, does it work inside the operating system? Like there's an agent in the OS that's doing this? Or if it's, say it's a virtual machine, does it contact vSphere and take a snapshot of the virtual machine disk file?
So, of course, it depends what the OS is. We don't go through the hypervisor. We work directly with the virtual machine. Okay. Think about it. If it's a Windows virtual machine, we take a VSS snapshot. Okay. So we just make a remote call for the VSS snapshot. Yeah. Then we take that snapshot and work off of it.
And so say that I want to move many virtual machines. How do I kind of plan that? I mean, how do I know what's out there?
So discovery is an interesting challenge. So we leave it as an exercise for the user to know what servers they have and which ones they want to move, because we're not going to be able to figure out which ones they want to migrate. But we can easily pull in a list of servers. Okay. Most organizations have a list of their servers. Yeah. We take that as a CSV file, and you can choose which of those you want to migrate. Okay. So they come into what we call a plan. You choose which servers you want to migrate, and you can either take them exactly as they are, or you can start to add to the transformation.
Okay. Are there specific hypervisors that are supported?
So we support majority of the hypervisors that are out there. Of course, VMware, Hyper-V, KVM. We support OpenStack, and of course, most of the clouds that are there with their Cloud OS, whether it's AWS or Google or Azure or Oracle.
I know a lot of companies are running more containers. Can I migrate container?
You can migrate. We don't have many people doing that yet today. Okay. And there's some interesting aspects to containers, but we can absolutely migrate a container.
Okay. And once I migrate my workloads, can I test those workloads to make sure they work?
Absolutely. So we have the data, all the files in this data store, so we can, from that, create a virtual machine. That virtual machine, matter of fact, one of the things you can do is say, give it a different IP address or put it in a sandbox. Yeah. And then I can test it in that environment. The good news is I can make changes to it. I can do whatever I want to it because I have the core data still in that data store, and I can then create a new virtual machine when I'm ready to do the cutover. So it gives me a lot of flexibility in doing the testing, where if you're doing a virtual machine to virtual machine migration set of copies, if you make changes, there's no going back. Yeah. We give you the ability to go back.
Okay. And is the data secure as it's transferred from location to location?
It is. When we pull the data into the data store, we do a standard 256-bit encryption on the data, and it is both on disk and therefore also in transit, it is encrypted.
Okay. I mean, roughly how many virtual machines or hosts or nodes does a company transfer?
Wow. Somewhere between 5 and multiple thousands.
Multiple thousands, really?
Multiple thousands are less often going to a cloud. That's more often being major infrastructure upgrades within a data center.
Okay. Could Shoreline potentially pay for itself when companies move off of aging physical hosts onto hyperconvergence or to the public cloud?
We pay for ourselves in many ways. Number one, getting you to your new infrastructure faster allows you to, retire the old infrastructure. But because this is an automated process, compared to, first of all, doing it by hand, it's going to happen faster, less resources, less errors, and so there's going to be less downtime involved in the process. Your IT resources will be dramatically reduced. So all of these things, when you do the analysis, says, yeah, it'll pay for itself.
Yeah, so in the planning, the time savings, the efficiency, and preventing downtime. I mean, downtime alone during a migration, if it was unexpected, could cost companies millions.
Correct. Yeah. And so you're able to plan each step of the way, as we said, test each step of the way, and then do the cutover process.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to get started with Shoreline, what's the first step?
First step, come to our website, right? www.shorelinesystems.com. And there's some videos that you can see there of the product being used, white papers, or the little contact us button.
Awesome. Thank you so much, George.
My pleasure. Thank you.